Have you ever finished scrolling through a feed, looking at other people's perfect lives, their big achievements, or their flawless travels, and suddenly felt a deep, hollow ache in your own chest? That sharp, nagging feeling of anxiety, inadequacy, or urgency. You might think social media is just a platform, a neutral tool for communication. But you'd be wrong. For the modern mind, social media is an invisible cage built entirely out of two powerful, addictive forces: external validation and comparison. It is a system designed to keep you permanently hooked on things you cannot control. This constant scrolling is not just a habit, it's a validation tax on your soul. It forces you to compare your raw, messy, and quiet reality to someone else's polished, edited, and loud highlight reel. The result is a steady, crippling stream of anxiety that robs you of your focus, your energy, and your self-worth. The good news is that the solution to this modern crisis is ancient. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosophers, like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, faced the same human weakness, even without smartphones. They saw the same pattern of people surrendering their peace to external noise and the judgment of the crowd. Today, for the Solitude Scroll, we are giving you the Stoic guide to quitting social media anxiety. This is not about quitting the internet. It is about quitting the anxiety it causes. We will give you the timeless philosophical cure and the 3 strategic steps to permanently dismantle the invisible cage and reclaim your inner sovereignty. Pillar 1: Diagnosing the disease, the uncontrollables. The core principle of Stoicism is brutally simple: anxiety is born when you focus your energy on things you cannot control. Before you can quit the addiction, you must first precisely diagnose the 3 primary sources of anxiety that social media feeds every single day. The more you understand how the system controls you, the less power it holds. The first source: the trap of external validation. The primary fuel for social media anxiety is the desperate hunt for external validation. This is the psychological mechanism where you surrender your inner scorecard, your internal measure of self-worth, to the public scoreboard of likes, shares, and comments. The Stoics knew this was fatal. Epictetus taught that we should worry only about the things that are up to us, our choices, our actions, and our judgments. External approval is definitively not up to us. It is controlled by algorithms, random public mood swings, and the fleeting attention of strangers. When you post something and wait for the like, you are actively handing the remote control of your happiness to millions of people you do not know. When the validation doesn't arrive, your mind interprets that absence as a form of rejection or failure, triggering anxiety. The Sigma male, the lone wolf, understands that self-worth must be self-generated. The alpha and beta willingly pay this validation tax, the sovereign man refuses to pay it. Recognizing that approval is uncontrollable, and therefore useless to your inner peace, is the first step toward freedom. The second source: the comparison tax, the illusion of perfection. The second, most crippling source of anxiety is the comparison tax. Social media is not a reflection of real life, it is a meticulously curated exhibition of success. You are not comparing your life to the reality of the influencer's life. You are comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles to their perfected highlight reel. This creates the deadly illusion of perfection. You see their massive house, their perfect relationship, and their sudden success, and you feel that painful, sinking feeling of "I am not enough." The Stoics taught that judging your internal life against another person's external appearance is the root of envy and unhappiness. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that others' actions and possessions are indifferent to his well-being. Their success does not diminish your potential, it only diminishes your peace when you choose to focus on it. Your energy must be focused on your own path, your own mission, and your own inner scorecard. The moment you look sideways to compare your speed to someone else's, you surrender your lead. The third source, information overload and the anxiety loop. The final source of anxiety is the relentless, non-stop flow of information. Social media creates constant information overload, demanding your attention 24 hours a day. The sheer volume of outrage, bad news, political drama, and urgent notifications keeps your nervous system in a state of perpetual high alert, the anxiety loop. Your mind never gets the quiet, uninterrupted time it needs for deep work, reflection, or processing, which are the fundamental pillars of stability. The Stoic principle here is scarcity of attention. Your attention is your most valuable asset, and you must guard it fiercely. When you spend your time consuming noise, you starve your mind of the quiet clarity it needs for purpose-driven action. The cure for anxiety is not more information, it is the strategic elimination of noise. Pillar 2, the core Stoic cure, controlling the inside. Once you diagnose the disease, you must apply the core Stoic cure. Shifting your strategic focus entirely from the uncontrollable external world to the internal world you command. This is achieved through two powerful philosophical techniques. Technique 1, Premeditatio Malorum, rehearsing the worst. This is the most powerful and often misunderstood Stoic practice. Premeditatio Malorum literally means the premeditation of evils. It is the mental rehearsal of the worst-case scenario. This technique sounds dark, but it is the ultimate tool for achieving peace. When you feel anxiety about a situation, a potential financial loss, a public failure, or the collapse of a relationship, you force yourself, in your solitude, to mentally walk through the disaster. What is the worst possible outcome if I quit social media? I miss some news, a few people notice my absence. What is the worst possible outcome if I post this and it gets 0 likes? My ego is bruised, but my business remains, and my skill remains. By consciously rehearsing the loss of external things, validation, attention, status, you realize two critical things. 1. The outcome is survivable. The anxiety immediately loses its power because your mind has established a survival plan. 2. The truly valuable things are internal. Your character, your intelligence, your discipline, and your self-worth cannot be taken away by a bad comment or a failed post. This practice allows you to treat every external possession, including your social standing, as on loan from fate. When you mentally resign yourself to losing it, you achieve instant detachment and fearlessness. Technique 2. Controlling impressions, the pause button. The second core technique focuses on the very beginning of the anxiety cycle. The Stoics taught that an event itself does not harm you, it is your judgment or impression of that event that causes the pain. On social media, the event is seeing the perfect vacation photo. Your initial impression is, I must be a failure because I am not there. This is the moment the anxiety is born. The cure is to install the pause button between the event and your judgment. The moment you see the perfect photo, you pause and apply the data filter. The filter, this is not reality. This is a staged photo, paid for with debt, posted by someone struggling with their own inner demons. The command, you reject the impression, I will not consent to the judgment that I am a failure. This small, deliberate pause is what prevents the external world from invading your mind. Your mind is your sacred inner sanctuary. You choose what is admitted and what is deflected. The sovereign mind is a mind that is constantly filtering its own impressions. Pillar 3. The strategic exit, the daily system. Philosophical wisdom is useless without deliberate, structured action. The final step is implementing the daily system that physically cuts the wires that feed the anxiety. This is your strategic exit from the validation cycle. Strategy 1. The Dopamine Firewall. The anxiety of social media is fundamentally an addiction driven by the dopamine reward loop, the pleasure of receiving validation. You must starve the addiction of its fuel. Implementation, the non-negotiable time lock. Rule A, the morning lockout: never check social media or news for the first 60 minutes of the day. Your morning energy is your highest value asset. Spending it on consuming external noise and comparison instantly compromises your focus for the next 12 hours. Dedicate this time to the inner scorecard, meditation, planning, high-value work. Rule B, the nighttime cutoff: stop scrolling 90 minutes before sleep. Blue light, anxiety-inducing news, and comparison all disrupt your ability to achieve deep, restorative rest. Your sleep is your recovery system. Protect it fiercely. Rule C, the app removal: delete all social apps from your phone. Force yourself to use them only on your desktop browser. This creates friction, forcing you to consciously decide to log in, rather than compulsively opening the app out of habit. This firewall starves the addiction and restores your focus to productive action. Strategy 2. The intentional retreat, scheduled silence. The opposite of anxiety is clarity, and clarity requires silence. The intentional retreat is your structured way to starve the information overload that causes perpetual anxiety. Implementation, the 10-minute sovereignty check. Practice scheduled solitude: dedicate 10 minutes every day to total silence. No notifications, no music, no stimulation. Just sitting and observing your thoughts. This forces you to engage in reflection and processing, the very activity the anxiety loop seeks to eliminate. The sovereignty check: during this time, ask yourself, what decision did I make in the last 24 hours that was influenced by fear of judgment? What external problem am I allowing to steal my peace? This small, non-negotiable block of silence prevents information overload from overwhelming your system. Strategy 3. The Digital Sabbath, the ultimate test. The final strategy is the ultimate test of your self-sovereignty. Implementation, the 24-hour detox. Commit to a digital Sabbath: 24 hours of zero social media, zero news consumption, and zero non-essential internet use, ideally once a week. The goal. The purpose is not just detoxification, it is proving to your nervous system that the world does not collapse when you are not constantly plugged in. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is a delusion. When you return, you realize nothing truly essential was lost, and your anxiety around the platforms weakens permanently. The Digital Sabbath reinforces your control, proving that you are the master of the technology, not its slave. Conclusion, the ultimate freedom. The Stoic wisdom is clear. The cage is not digital, the cage is your mind. Social media anxiety is a choice to surrender your control to the random judgments of the external world. The lasting cure is not complicated. It is the systematic application of wisdom, alchemy, and disciplined action. The freedom you seek is not found in quitting the internet, it is found in quitting your need for validation. When you reclaim your inner scorecard, you become untouchable, unbothered, and free to pursue your purpose without distraction. If this blueprint resonated with you, if you are ready to quit the tax of validation and reclaim your internal sovereignty, then it is time to make a commitment. Hit that like button, subscribe to the Solitude Scroll, and drop a comment below and tell me which strategic technique, Premeditatio, Malorum, or controlling impressions, will you use today to build your social immunity?